doubling down on President Biden's push for de-escalation despite an unprecedented attack on Israel by Iran. Israel, though, says it will absolutely respond, but is not revealing when or what that will look like. Well, the Biden administration is making it clear it will not participate in any counteroffensive. Correspondent Kelly Meyer live for us at the White House. Kelly, how is the president's message being received?
Well, President Biden is certainly hoping that his message was received to prevent a wider conflict and to keep the U.S. from being dragged into a wider war. I want to get to what just happened moments ago inside the Oval Office. President Biden meeting with the Iraqi Prime Minister today here at the White House. It's a meeting that was previously scheduled but comes after this attack by Iran on Israel. And he had a few comments off the top saying that together with our partners, we defeated this attack. He added that the U.S. is committed to a ceasefire that will bring the hostages home and prevent the conflict from spreading. He added that the U.S. is committed to Israel's security, and he called the U.S.-Iraqi relationship critical to the region and to the world. That is what he said moments ago from the Oval Office. When we have that, we will bring it to you. But that brings to mind the two remaining questions here of how does this affect the hostage deal, as well as what this means for the potential wider conflict in the region that the president is working hard to prevent this from escalating even further. He's trying to say to Israel's prime minister here that you had a spectacular success on Saturday. We sent a strong signal. Let's leave it at that. But the White House says it is up to Israel what happens next. We were told by a senior U.S. official that we would not be part of any kind of counteroffensive. And the president is saying that this is nothing like the response we saw this weekend where the U.S., the U.K., France, and Jordan all intercepted Iranian drones. We saw the president call the commanders of the U.S. squadrons that took down 70 of those Iranian drones, saying that they saved lives. And President Biden becoming the first president to directly defend Israel, ordering his staff to defend Israel to the maximum possible effort. They're taking 10 days of preparation to move U.S. assets to be placed there ready to respond. President Biden, as you see there, watching it all this weekend from the Situation Room, cutting his trip to Rehoboth Beach short to meet with his national security team, from the Secretary of State you see there to his Secretary of Defense. We know that Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin spoke with his Israeli counterpart for the third time this weekend, commending the successful combined operation and saying we will continue to take all necessary action to defend Israel and the U.S. And then on Sunday, President Biden convened a meeting of G7 leaders. Senior administration officials tell us they were totally united in defense of Israel and discussed a potential diplomatic response to keep things from escalating any further. Here's the Secretary of State Antony Blinken today.
We don't seek escalation, but we'll continue to support the defense of Israel and to protect our personnel in the region.
And as we said, the president is meeting with the Iraqi prime minister today here in the Oval Office. This was previously scheduled, but it comes after Iran's attack this weekend. Some of those attacks launched from Iraq, and we know U.S. troops stationed in Iraq have also been attacked or targeted by Iran-backed forces since the October 7th attack by Hamas on Israel. President Biden certainly trying here to take down the temperature and prevent this war from escalating further. Nichole.
Well, so Kelly, speaking, of him trying to bring down the temperature, what are some of the actions the U.S. could take to keep it from escalating?
Yeah, President Biden talking with those G7 leaders, trying to think of more of a diplomatic response. They didn't want to speak for the other countries, but saying that this could look like designating the IRGC as a possible terrorist group or looking at issuing more sanctions. For Iran, they were saying that this was self-defense and that was really the end of their response here. But whatever happens next really depends on what is Israel's next move here. Will they respond? Will this become a tit for tat? And how can the U.S. prevent this from escalating further? That's the question in front of the president today, and certainly something we're expecting him to be discussing, as we see there with the Iraqi prime minister there inside the Oval Office now, Nichole.
Yeah, absolutely. Kelly, thank you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.